यमुनतीरावनचारी तीरावनचारी जयो राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जयो राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 हरिनाम संकीर्तन की। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं तदो जयमुदीरये नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 27, Text number 3. Repeat after me. Tena samsara padavim avashyobhyeti anirvrita prasangikai karma doshaih षड असन्मिश्रयोनिषु तेन संसारपदवीम् अवश्योऽभ्येति अनिर्वृता प्रासङ्गिकैः कर्मदोषैः षड असन्मिश्रयोनिषु तेन संसारपदवीम् अवश्योऽभ्येति अनिर्वृता प्रासङ्गिकैः कर्मदोषैः षडसन्मिश्रयोनिषु अवश्योऽभ्येति अनिर्वृता प्रासङ्गिकैः कर्मदोषैः षडसन्मिश्रयोनिषु तेन संसारपदवीम् अवश्योऽभ्येति अनिर्वृता प्रासङ्गिकैः कर्मदोषैः षडसन्मिश्रयोनिषु माताजी तेन संसारपदवीम् अवश्योऽभ्येति अनिर्वृता प्रासङ्गिकैः कर्मदोषैः षडसन्मिश्रयोनिषु. What meaning? Sorry. Tena sansara padavim avashyobheti anirvrata prasangike karma doshe षडसन्मिश्रयोनिषु. What meaning? Tena, by this, samsara of repeated birth and death, padavim, the path, avasha, helplessly, abhyeti, he undergoes, anirvrita, discontented, prasangikaihi, resulting from association with material nature, karma doshaihi, by faulty actions, sat, good, asat, bad, mishra, mixed, yonishu, in different species of life. Translation. The conditioned soul therefore transmigrates from different species of life, higher and lower, because of his association with the modes of material nature. Unless he is relieved of material activities, he has to accept this position because of his faulty work. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada. Here the word karma dosha means by faulty actions. This refers to any activity, good or bad, performed in this material world. They are all contaminated, faulty actions because of material association. The foolish conditioned soul may think that he is offering charity by opening hospitals for material benefit or by opening an educational institution for material education. But he does not know that all such work is also faulty because it will not give him relief from the process of transmigration from one body to another. It is clearly stated here, Shad Asan Mishra Yonishu. This means that one may take birth in a very high family, or he may take his birth in higher planets among the demigods for his so-called pious activities in the material world. But this work is also faulty because it does not give liberation. To take birth in a nice place or a high family does not mean that one avoids undergoing the material tribulations, the pangs of birth, death, old age and disease. The conditioned soul, under the spell of material nature, cannot understand that any action he performs for sense gratification is faulty, and that only his activities in devotional service to the Lord can give him release to the reactions of faulty activities. Because he does not see such faulty activities, he has to change to different bodies, some high and some low. This is called samsara padavim, which means this material world from which there is no release. One who desires material liberation has to turn his activities to devotional service. There is no alternative. Chant the Mangalacharan prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvise Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanostute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyassa Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So welcome all of you to Srimad Bhagavatam class, and I would like to seek all of your blessings to speak on this transcendental subject matter. So we are discussing from the 3rd canto 27th chapter. Srila Prabhupada entitled this chapter as Understanding Material Nature. So this chapter is in the section where Lord Kapiladev is describing the transcendental knowledge to his mother Devahuti. Lord Kapil Dev himself begins his discussion first by describing the purpose of his incarnation in the 24th chapter, where he says, Etanme janma lokesmin mimukshunam durashayad prasankhya tattvanam sammatatma darshane. Please understand that I have appeared in this world to explain the principles suitable for realizing the self for those desiring liberation from the subtle body. So, he very clearly mentioned that the purpose of his incarnation is to give transcendental knowledge for liberating from the material body. So, hence, all the discussions in this section, which will go I think up till 33rd chapter or 34, will be related to this aspect of how a material identity can be removed from the consciousness of the living entity. So, in the first, the 25th chapter, when Devahuti inquires, like Devahuti, Mother Devahuti asks that, I am disgusted with this material life. Please show me the path for liberation. And then in the 25th chapter initially, Lord Kapila explains the path of bhakti. Then in the next chapter, 26th chapter, he explains about the fundamental principles of the material nature, that what is Mahat Tattva, and then what is Prakriti, what is Pradhan, and how all the elements, 24 elements are formed by the glance of the Supreme Lord, and how Lord enters into the creation, etc. And this particular chapter, the 27th chapter, now begins to explain about what is the knowledge that is required for liberation, the Jnana Mishra Bhakti, which is, and then also it describes about what is the distinction between Prakriti and Purusha, and then the actual path to liberation. So in all these sections, the key theme always revolves around what is material nature. Though material nature appears to be the cause of everything in this world, she is always acting under the direction of the Supreme Lord, and at the same time the Lord is not responsible for all the actions of the living entity in this world. So this is a very important principle to understand, because there are different philosophies in the field of Sanatana Dharma, or even in the entire world, owing to their understanding of what is soul, what is material energy, and who is the Supreme Lord. Most of the people who identify, okay, there is a Supreme Lord, their whole understanding of the Lord is limited to the Brahman feature of the Lord, understanding that the energy of the Supreme Lord is pervaded in the entire creation, and the existence of everything in this creation is founded and based on that energy. They hardly have any understanding about the personal aspect of the Supreme Lord. There may be other philosophies, religions who may understand the localized aspect of the Lord in the heart as Paramatma. But only the Vaishnavas have a clear understanding who the Lord as Bhagavan is. He has a place beyond this material creation in the spiritual world. And then about the soul being completely separate from this material world as Satchit Ananda, as being originally from the spiritual world and adhering to the superior nature is also hardly understood. And the material world, what is the nature of the material world, how the material world functions, how everything in this creation is happening. Though Maya Devi is producing all the ingredients necessary for a living entity's enjoyment, she is doing under the sanction and direction of the Supreme Lord. So all these principles of what is the Lord, who is living entity, and what is the material nature, these principles are clearly understood only in the Vedanta philosophy, that too as described in Srimad Bhagavatam. So whether it is Kapila Muni's Sankhya philosophy or Lord describing Uddhava Gita to Uddhava or any other place in Bhagavatam, the same principles are touched from different angles. Here Kapila Muni is very clearly mentioning the goal is to liberate the living entity from his subtle body. So the discussion and all the points revolve around how the living entity can get rid of the mundane mind, intelligence and ego which drives him back to the material world. So here we see in the purport first Prabhupada mentioning about karma dosha, means faulty actions. Why all these activities in the material world are called faulty? He gives example. Somebody may be thinking that, oh no, I am doing very good actions in this world. I am opening hospitals and I am treating people. I am opening educational institutions and I am giving lot of material education to people. But he says no. These actions are still faulty because they are not able to liberate one from the pangs of birth, death, old age and disease. So unless our actions are directed to liberation from birth, old age, disease, death, then it is all faulty. And okay, birth, we already had, death is so far, and old age and disease is also, old age is also far, and diseases we hardly get. At least now I am enjoying. Some people have this kind of philosophy. Now at least I am enjoying. But there are always the three kleshas of material energy coming in the form of adhyatmik, adi bhautik and adi daivik kleshas, where you get floods, famines, wars, all these kind of things always put a living entity on check about his actions, whether whatever nice things we are building for years together, and then some country, somebody decides that you are doing something which is against their interests, and they bomb, completely lost of hundreds of years of technological advancement, so much energy put, so much resources, everything lost in a blink of an eye. Similarly, there will be floods and famines and all your electricity, whatever resources you have created are all lost. So like this, on a material scale, whatever good thing one may do, but it will not last forever. It is first of all temporary, and also the view of everybody on what is good, what is bad differs from one another. For some people, no, attacking others and getting resources from them is very, very much in their rules, and they say that is proper, but for others it is not. Yep, like that. All the activities in this material world are faulty actions. It's described by the word the karma dosha. So we also see from the scriptures that if I try to make my material situation better, like if I try to do good karma, then I get good results. So I try to keep doing good karma, then I can be happy for a long time. This kind of thought people may have. But we see, even in scriptural references, many people tried that way and then they failed. For example, in the 8th canto we come across the story of Gajendra. Gajendra, he was the king of this world, one of the earth kings by name Indradumna, a very pious king. He was doing all his activities very nicely, and he was in fact worshipping Lord Vishnu. But what happened? At one point, when he came across sage Agastya, he didn't properly respect the sage, and because of which he was cursed to become an elephant in his next life. So such a great king has to undergo the tribulation and again born as an animal, as an elephant. And in the same pastime you come across the king Huhu. He is a Gandharva. He is not even an earthly king. See, among all the people on the earth, who is considered as most enjoying, means the maximum enjoyment is gained by an emperor, the king who has full control of the planet. So beyond the earthly enjoyment is heavenly planets. So Gandharva Loka is one such. So this guy Huhu, he is a Gandharva. He was enjoying his life in heavenly planets, everything going nice. And once he was in one of the lakes enjoying with his family, and there was a sage by name Devala Rishi. He was performing his noon rites or whatever, morning or evening, the Sandhya rites, and then he playfully went and pulled his leg. And the sage said, "Oh, you are acting like an animal, pulling the leg, so better you become crocodile." And then he has to become a crocodile. Where is Gandharva and where is a birth of crocodile? In the next moment he has to change. Okay, these are all minor people. Let us talk about somebody who is more powerful among all the people who are enjoying material life. The king of Swarga, Indra. He has the complete power, and his lifetime as the heavenly king of Swarga is 71 Divya Yugas. One Divya Yuga is about one Satya, Treta, Dwapara and Kali Yuga. Full like that 71 times. One Manvantra, which is, he stays as undisputed king of heavenly planets. But what happens to him in his own tenure as the heavenly king? One time, when sage Brihaspati, his guru, comes, he was just too absorbed in something. he forgets to offer respects to him. Then the sage, just disappointed, he leaves the place, and because of which he has to lose the entire heavenly kingdom. The demons attacked, and eventually he gets cursed and gets the body of a hog. From the heavenly king, he becomes a hog. And all throughout his life, it's not that, okay, just because he became the heavenly king, he is very peaceful. No. Sometimes some demon attacks. How many times he was defeated? There was a demon by name Mahishasur. He conquered. And there was Ravan. He conquered. Like that, so many demons conquered his kingdom. So, despite being the most powerful king in the entire universe, he's always at tension. And not only that, anywhere if he hears somebody is performing great tapasya austerity, he becomes very, very fearful. Oh, he's doing the tapasya maybe to take over my position. So that's why he sends sometimes apsaras, sometimes, other kind of tribulations to test and to even break the tapasya of sages and other people. So, in this material world, that's why all kind of actions are faulty, because they are always filled with this uncertainty. There is no permanence. They are all temporary, and one cannot avoid birth, old age, disease and death. Sometimes the scriptures trick one to do pious activities by saying, oh, as devatas you don't have old age or a disease or a death. Yes, as soon as the karma is finished, you fall back to the lower status. There you don't have problems, but you have the time limit. So that's why even the Devata's position is not a permanent solution. One has to again come back to this world, as described by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. Abrahma bhavanaloka punaravartano arjuna mamupetyat kaunteya punarjanmana vidyate. Only if you worship me, you come to my planet, then there is no birth. Otherwise, you have to come back again. So, this is the situation of the living entity. So, there is no point in trying to perform good deeds for material benefits. Ultimately, they will only bring one back to zero, where you started. Yes. So, in this connection, there is a story told by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur about a pauper, a brahmana who is a very poor man. He had no wealth at all, and he had nothing to eat even. So he was trying to get donation, go and ask for charity, but people are seeing him, this Brahman, he is just faking it. He is hiding all his wealth so that he can cheat us and get more money. People are thinking about him like this, and nobody was giving him any charity also. So he was very distressed. Then he goes, while walking, he comes in front of an omniscient sage, very pious person, the sage. Then he asked the sage, this is my precarious situation, please give me a solution. The sage says to him, you are unnecessarily lamenting. Because your father has hidden a lot of wealth for you. Oh, is it? Where is it? Where is it? Please tell me. It says it's somewhere in your courtyard. Go and try for it. He immediately runs and takes an axe and all, and then he starts cutting the tree and start digging everything around. So first he goes to the south direction and he starts digging. He digs for a few days. He finds nothing. And then he comes to the sage again. Says, I started digging. Then he says, which direction are you digging? It says, I started digging in the south. He says, no. If you dig towards the south, you'll come across hornets, means wasps, and they will come and sting you. So be careful, don't dig in the south. Then he goes, and then, okay, the sage said not south, so let me go towards the north direction. And he starts digging on the north direction. And after a few days again he comes, I'm not able to get anything. He says, you're digging which direction? North. Be careful. There is a very poisonous black serpent in that direction. And it can devour you. It can kill you. So not the south, not the north. Let me go to the west direction. And he starts digging in the west direction. And after a few days again, then the sage says, no, in the west direction there is a big ghost who is trying to protect this wealth. So he will cause difficulties for you. So, every time you are saying that there is a wealth, and whichever direction I am digging, there is no result. Then the sage says, be patient. There is definitely wealth. Go to the east direction and start digging. So he goes to the east direction and starts digging, and finally finds his treasure. And then he becomes very rich without any problems afterwards. So through this story, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur explains that our situation is just like this pauper. He doesn't have anything in this life, and then he goes to take instructions from the devotee to attain perfection in life. But then as soon as you hear, then immediately goes and performs karma. Then if you perform karma, then you will not attain perfection. Only the wasps or the bees of material desires keep stinging us more and more. Okay, I will not do karma. Let me perform jnana, material knowledge. Let me cultivate material knowledge. The material knowledge is like a poisonous serpent. Ultimately it will devour you. Because the ultimate end of all material knowledge is merging in the Supreme Lord, or saying I am the Lord. It is completely detrimental for devotional service. It's poisonous. Okay, I will not do karma and jnana, but let me perform mystic yoga. Mystic yoga is like ghost. You are too much enamored by all the siddhis and you forget about the Supreme Lord. So, not any of them. Only by the performance of bhakti can one attain the ultimate treasure of pure love of God. So, bhakti is the only process by which one can get rid of the material misery. That's why Srila Prabhupada says, a conditioned soul under the spell of material nature cannot understand that any action he performs for sense gratification is faulty, and that only his activities in devotional service to the Lord can give him release from the reactions of faulty activities. Because he does not cease such faulty activities, he has to change to different bodies, some high and some low. That is called samsara padavim, which means this material world from which there is no release. One who desires material liberation has to turn his activities to devotional service. So, if we want liberation from material world, what we have to do? We have to turn all our activities to devotional service. How do you turn one? How does one turn his actions to devotional service? As explained by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by the principle of Yukta Vairagya. Yukta Vairagya involves what principles? Anukulyasya Sankalpa, Pratikulyasya Varjanam. Whatever is favorable for bhakti, accept those. And whatever is unfavorable, reject them. So, this principle is very, very vital to understand the depth of it, what is Yukta Vairagya, and how to apply it in one's own life. Because the entire devotional service revolves around this one principle. When it comes to the practicality of how to apply the principles of bhakti. Because we are not in Satya Yuga, where the entire ambience is permeated with worshipping of the Supreme Lord. Neither in Treta Yuga, where there are activities dedicated for worshipping the Supreme Lord, or Dwapara Yuga. In Kali Yuga, people are very, very unlucky. Manda sumanda matayo, manda bhagya upadrita. Then there is full of cheaters, everybody trying to cheat in the name of spirituality also. So, it is very difficult to find a peaceful place where you can go and practice bhakti in solitude. Wherever you are situated, whatever is your occupation, within that, how to dovetail your activities so that you can always remember the Supreme Lord. That is the principle which was given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and which is perfectly applied by his disciples and by the 6 Goswamis, and eventually Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and Srila Prabhupada. So, it's not required for one to give up everything and go into solitude and perform his bhakti. That may be possible for very, very chosen few. But for most of the people, wherever they are situated, how to dovetail their life in such a way that whatever is helping them for devotional service, they can accept, and whatever is not helping, they can reject. By perfectly understanding that and applying that, one can be successful. There was another story told by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur in this regard. There was a brahmachari disciple of a great sage, and the guru had to go to some other place for preaching purposes. So he tells the brahmachari to be in the mat and read Bhagavad Gita every day, because by reading Bhagavad Gita, all transcendental knowledge will be revealed to him. So worship Srimad Bhagavad Gita by reading it every day. Says, yes Guruji, I will definitely do. And then he goes, after the Guruji leaves, he sits in the mat and he starts reading Bhagavad Gita every day. He does for a week, 2 weeks. Then he sees that his book slowly is being eaten by a mouse. Then he becomes very disturbed. This was my order by my Guru, and I am trying to read Bhagavad Gita and this mouse is disturbing me. What to do? Okay, let me get a cat so that I can get rid of the mouse. So he goes and then he gets a cat. Then the cat comes, and because of the cat, always chasing the mouse, after some time there is no mouse. So he's happy, and now he could read. But every now and then he hears the crying of the cat, and then he starts getting irritated. The cat wants milk to be fed every now and then. No, I'm staying in a mud far away, where will I get milk? He thinks, no, one day I can go and get from somebody, every day where can I get? So let me get a cow, so that I can get milk every day. So in order to feed the cat, he gets a cow. But when he got a cow, after a few days he realized the cow also have to be fed grass, it has to be taken around for grazing, and it has to be cleaned, and so much work. But if I do all the work, when will I read? So let me get a cowherd man. So he goes and gets a cowherd person. And the cowherd person, generally somebody who is a helper, they have their own issues, problems. He wants nice prasadam, and he has his own needs to be taken care. How will I take care of this? And I don't even know how to cook nicely. He thinks, said, so let me get married. And then he gets married for that. And then after a few years, then the Guru, after preaching many places, then he comes, okay, I told my disciple here to take care of the mat and to do Bhagavad Gita recitation. Let me go and see him. Then he goes there. He doesn't see any mat. Instead, he sees a big palace and so many children playing around. And he goes and sees one very well-dressed person coming and say, oh Guruji, please accept my humble obeisance. Says, what is this? What happened to you? Says, oh, I did all this for the sake of your holy Gita. No, for the sake of protecting your holy Gita, all these things I did. So the point which was stressed by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur there is, we can't cheat ourselves in the name of Yukta Vairagya. Don't try to cheat yourself and cheat everybody by accumulating resources for one's own sense gratification. Oh, in the name, in the class, this devotee mentioned, my Guru mentioned that if you want to practice bhakti, this is required. I need a, some gadget, some this thing, and start accumulating more and more and more. And also he mentions about, Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur mentions about the material education. Oh, it will be helpful for me as preaching. That's why I read this book, that book, so much knowledge which is useless and becomes burden for us. So if we try on our own, there will be never a solution. Even you come to a conclusion, okay, I will not do karma, jnana or yoga, mystic yoga, but perform bhakti. Then still our senses, our mind, our subtle body cheats ourselves. So the only solution is to come and take the association of those devotees, pure devotees who are completely honest and completely detached from the desire for puja, labha, pratishtha, name, fame, prestige. Because ultimately it is the subtle desire of name, fame, prestige which will pull us back. Even though we are successful grossly to, avoid the senses from enjoying sense gratification. And this cannot be given up by our own endeavor. Only by honestly submitting ourselves in the association of pure devotees who have attained that status can one become free from all this material illusion. So, as said, one who desires material liberation has to turn his activities to devotional service. And Prabhupada says very emphatically, there is no alternative. There is no alternative other than doing devotional service. And then this devotional service also have to be done in the association of pure devotees. So that hankering for the association, taking instructions and running our lives in the according to the instruction given by the acharyas and the great sadhus is the only path that can bring us to perfection. Hare Krishna. Anybody has any questions, comments?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you for your nice class. Regarding material knowledge, as I'm living in Vrindavan, and I asked this question when Burijan Prabhu was giving class, who's the writer of the many courses in ISKCON. As I mentioned, physics, chemistry, immediately said this let me comment on that. He said, Prabhupada wasn't impractical. He said we should teach chemistry, biology also in the Gurukul. So it is true, it is a burden for those who come to Krishna consciousness, and if your focus is fully on liberation, you don't need these things. But as we have a society with children and generations, there is a need for education. Just like you are one of those Indians who are perfectly in English. Now English is not your mother tongue, but you learned it. And you're pretty good at it. Despite another thing I also saw is this, that Prabhupada used to engage people who have high degrees in special services. One example is, what's the other name? Sadaputa Prabhu. He came in as a very humble brahmachari. He was cleaning the toilet. So when they opened his trunk, they found he has a PhD in mathematics. So Prabhupada told him, okay, I give you the service now. You prove through mathematics that Krishna exists. So in that sense, yes, you're completely right that, Yukta Vairagya should not be misused, which is actually a lot of happening. But simultaneously, when it comes to knowledge, in my personal experience in my spiritual life, I have seen that whatever comes on my path, even at the moment I don't know what I will use it for, but there is a reason why it comes. And then later it starts to click, oh, that's why. And then you can very effectively preach in certain areas like that. So I would like, that's my experience. So.
Yeah, so the point which I was describing is directly mentioned by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. One should be careful about material knowledge. As you mentioned that, okay, we need to learn physics, mathematics and all. See, according to the standard Vedic system, there is a time when you accumulate knowledge, which is the age of brahmacharya, which is between 5 to 25. That's the time you accumulate as much as you can. And then after that, when you enter into grihastha life, then you're performing your occupation, using that knowledge in engaging the senses so that you can ultimately come to a realization. And then there is an age beyond 50 as vanaprastha. Now you reduce the material resources and try to focus on bringing back the consciousness on the Supreme Lord. And then the sannyas is completely removing your senses and mind from any other activities other than pleasing the Supreme Lord. That should be the mindset. Similarly, no knowledge is useless if you are very clear, you know, and you are using it in the service of the Lord. And no matter how alluring the knowledge is, it will be useless if you are not utilizing it in the service of the Lord. That's why the first principle is Anukulyasya sankalpa and pratikulyasya varjana. The question we need to ask ourselves is, okay, I'm undergoing this degree, I'm putting so much endeavor to gain this knowledge. Is it being used for serving the Lord? Am I becoming more Krishna consciousness? Am I getting more, enthusiasm to serve Krishna because of this? Or am I getting so much influenced by so many other people and starts questioning everything? Questioning is also not wrong, but what you say, useless or vitandavada, what you call in Sanskrit, questioning without any reason, questioning for the sake of questioning. And a lot of people do that just so that they don't feel bad that they are doing sense gratification. So am I getting in these kind of consciousness, or am I using the knowledge to bring more people to Krishna consciousness? So that is also a service. Worshipping Krishna through knowledge is, worshipping him through intelligence. That's a service, but only if it is your domain, otherwise not. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Mother.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much for your nice class. A verse came to my mind as you were speaking, 1:5:17 in Srimad Bhagavatam. Tyaktva swa dhammam charanam bhujam hare bhajana paktvo tapatet tato yadi yatra kvabhabadram abudhamushakim kovarta apto bhajatam svadharmataha. One who has forsaken his material occupations to engage in the devotional service of the Lord may sometimes fall down in an immature stage, yet there is no danger of his being unsuccessful. On the other hand, a non-devotee, though fully engaged in occupational duties, does not gain anything. And the other day I had a bit of a realization, and that Krishna consciousness is so nice. The beauty of Bhakti Yoga is it doesn't matter what your past is. You could be materially, a bit of a failure, or so many disasters happen in your life, but when you practice Krishna consciousness, it goes above all of that, and that's the wonderful thing.
Yeah, wonderful. So that's the key principle. Thank you, Muthu. Okay, last question.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So this verse mentions about faulty action, that any material activity is faulty. But even when we do devotional service, then it is not that actions are not faulty. Like suppose we offer milk to the Lord, we don't know how it has been produced, or we offer something but we don't know actually how it has been produced. So it is also faulty in one sense. So we may say that because we are offering it to the Lord, it is clear of all the reactions. But my question is that, is it possible that Lord will accept such a offering if we have the means by which we can give him something even better like that?
Okay, good question. So if you follow the basic principle of offering him fruits, milk, sugar and vegetables, he will accept, because that is what he mentioned in the Shastra. But your own bhakti depends on the attention to the detail. So if you are feeding your own family, for your own self, your own children, you always try to get better and better product. Before, people were taking anything and everything. Now there is a huge demand for organic. So before the industrialization came, the same organic product was very less. Now that is 100 times, 1000 times more cost. But people are still buying because you understand that it is good for you. So if you understand that it is good for you, why don't you offer to Krishna the same thing? So that attention to the detail is a sign of bhakti, advancement. So definitely we have to take care, definitely we have to see all this happening. Yeah, but if you don't have anything, at least the base principle is given. Offer milk, fruits, and vegetables. This is what Krishna takes. Whatever you can offer, it in that you offer. Okay? And here, Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Gaur Premanand.